What's going on, guys? It's your host T-Dub here and back for another news report. And as it says on the caption, it is a rulebook add-on. Plus, we got a team interview with a couple of leaders of Team Trifecta. So also in the booth with me tonight is T-John. T-John, make sure your audio is included. And what's going on, man?
What is going on, man? I am ecstatic to be on this interview.
Yeah,
How's
and
everything? How's life?
no, man, it's pretty good. And if you guys remember, T-John has co-hosted with me in the past. He actually was my very first co-host last season at Surfers Paradise South. So he is also a former leader of Team Doorlock. And as you guys know, I was the leader of YWD. Me and John just got to talking, and we were like, you know what, you only got a few drivers on your team. And then I had drivers on my team, but I had trouble with them showing up. How about we just join forces? But we'll get into that talk here in a little bit. First off, ForzaHorizonDriftLeague has a sponsor that we did not talk about last video, and that's my fault. I completely forgot to add them on the banner. Plus, I forgot to thank them. But that is strictly sideways. So we're glad to have them on board. But real quick, Forza Horizon Drift League is presented by Trifecta Drift Team, Forza's new up-and-coming drift team. FHDL is presented by Plantronics Gaming, if I could talk. Sorry about that, guys. Also sponsored by 110 Customs, HKS Performance, Team 5 Zygon, Daily Skids on Instagram, and Strictly Sideways. So we want to thank all of them for jumping on board this season. And then the rulebook add-on that I was talking about is we forgot to cover traffic and traffic restarts.
Cars.
Exactly. So in the rulebook, we have it in there now. If you guys want to go check it out, so we had traffic restarts last season, but it was all kind of confusing. So we simplified it a little bit, especially with the new scoring. And unfortunately, Trent cannot be here today. He's also one of the co-leaders of Team Trifecta. So we apologize for that. We were going to have him explain it, but I will explain it to the best of my knowledge. So with a traffic restart, to get your traffic restart, you must be in the main drift line and hit a traffic car in that main drift line. If you are outside the drift line and you make contact with a traffic car, it will be deemed as a 0 or an incomplete run, depending on the severity, such as if you're way off of the drift line and you hit the traffic car, it will probably be an incomplete run. If you're only a little bit outside the drift line and you hit a traffic car, it will be a 0. Or if you just completely slam into the car outside of the drift line, even if you're just barely outside the drift line and you just completely rail the car, it will probably be an incomplete run. So that's how that will be. So that is in the rulebook now. For those of you, I do apologize for not covering that. We completely forgot to put that in the rulebook, but it is in there now. So now to get into Team Trifecta. John, I'll let you kind of cover this. So how did Team Trifecta come? How did it become a team? I would explain it myself because I am a leader, but I want to hear it from you.
So you were on the FHDL chat at the time, and you said, "Well, I needed new drivers because last season there wasn't many YWD team members that were competing. There was only maybe one, I think, that was really on and off, and he was, I think, number one of the points at the time. That was Ace Tack, and he was doing really, really well. And he was but it was like on and off. Like he would be on, and he had like some issues that he had to deal with in real life, and so he couldn't be on for battles. And so last season, with me and Kiz, we pretty much just kind of like showed up, destroyed house. We didn't win the championship like that as we planned, but we did come in guns blazing, and we knew that UTD are just one a great painter, and it's like just really good for like advice and just help overall. And I knew that with a talent like me, Kiz, Ash, and Trent, we knew that if we can go in with a team with a solidified painter, with someone that can help us with tunes and much more, we knew that we would be a lot more bigger and expand more. And that's how Trifecta came to be. I just hit you up on Snapchat, and it went like that.
Yeah, and from my point of view, like he said, I had quite a big team. It wasn't the biggest, which I just found out today. And John, you don't know this, but We know it drift team owned by ran by the Aussie brothers. I got news yesterday that they are up to 151 members. Don't know how many is going to be competing in
Jeez.
FHDL, but that is how many they got right now.
That's a
But
big field.
yeah, but I had maybe like 5 or 6 drivers on YWD. Straight from the beginning of FHDL, I had trouble with them showing up, and we do not show favoritism whatsoever, guys. If you go back and watch the videos, when Ace Tech won the first event, it was because he was the only one that actually showed up, and he wasn't even a part of YWD yet. He wasn't even a part of YWD until after Surfers Paradise South, when he became the runner-up out of only 3 cars that showed up for battles then. So we just needed drivers that would actually commit to showing up for comps, and there is one driver that came along with YWD over to Trifecta, and that is Full Zombie 451. He was just having trouble with showing up this past season because at the time his family was going through some rough times and he couldn't really get on. There was a couple of times that he told me he had to pawn his Xbox just to get some money for his family, and then he was able to get it back. But he has it back now. He's able to play more, so you'll be able to see him more often. Plus, now we got, what did we say, I think a total of 6 drivers now, John?
Yep.
So,
Me,
I mean,
Ash, Kiz, Trent, you, and Zombie. Total of 6 players. A judge, which is going to help us during practice.
right.
So,
And,
I mean,
right.
it's just a win-win situation overall.
And don't worry, guys. I did talk to Trent, and he is going to make sure that he is not going to play any kind of favoritism. It will be a fairly
if we
judged
win, we
field.
win. If we lose, we lose, you know.
Right. It's
That's pretty
not
much it.
going to be straight Trifecta all the time. I mean, we
Winning
do
the
have
whole
some
entire
big
thing.
names. We do have some big names from FHDL on Trifecta, but that doesn't mean they're always going to win. So, on that note, yeah, like you said, we got FDB the Ash, we got Kiz, formerly known as man, what was his old gamer
Orbit
tag?
Kicks.
Orbit Kicks.
Orbit Kicks, and then
Then
he had accounts like Kids that got banned.
yep. And
He had a lot
so,
of accounts that got banned.
So we
like,
got him,
communication-wise.
who was actually, he was the most winningest driver this past season, but towards the end of the season he just wasn't able to show up for events, and that's why he was unable to clinch
Yeah,
the
he was
championship.
parking lot party. He was very sick. That's what he told me.
Yeah, and
So that's how
So
Exterior won the
then we got
championship.
Trent.
Nothing against Exterior. He's a great driver, but I mean,
yeah, and
I think it would
and,
have went a little bit different. But that's just me.
yeah, and then TrentFigure, he only competed in the last 2 events last season. He had some trouble with the first event. I think it was just some nerves because in the very next event he went out and won parking lot party. So
Against
and it was,
Arrow too, which is another
yeah.
big contender.
Yeah, against Aerodynamic, who is a big YouTuber and competes in ESDA as well. And then we got FDB the Ash, who had a very good event, won event last season, and he didn't win, but he got very close. I think he finished in the top 10.
Then there's me.
Then T. John, who
Never won
got
an event.
no, but
and
you
just
made
got
it to a
second
final.
to third place, and I
I
got
was
like
you made it to a
second in
final.
points overall. I Chris Forsberg it pretty much,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
which
you
is crazy.
didn't win, and you placed second in the event, and you finished second in the points, I believe, like you said. But so we got some pretty good drivers. We are not currently looking for drivers right now. We're gonna kind of see how this season in FHDL and ESDA, because we got drivers competing in both. Just kind of see how this plays out and see if we can get drivers for sure to show up, because as you just heard, YWD and Dorylock had troubles with drivers showing up all the time. So we're just going to see how it goes. If we have trouble with drivers showing up, yes, we're going to add more drivers. But right now we are not currently looking. So,
The doors are closed. I mean, if you can impress us, then I mean, that's still up to like you and Trent, I believe. But yeah.
yes, exactly. So, yeah, so that's really all we're going to talk about tonight. And like he was saying, John was saying, I do paints and tunes. That's if you guys haven't figured it out yet, 110 Customs is my so-called business, or quote unquote business on Forza. I do make paints for a lot of the drivers for FHDL. I do help out with tuning. So if you guys need a design or a tune, you're more welcome to hit me up and ask me. I'm usually pretty fast with getting paints back to you. Here recently, I haven't been, just kind of enjoying the time off from FHDL, but I tell you what, man, John, I am excited for this upcoming season.
I mean, who isn't? I mean,
Dude,
it's a
I'm
season 2.
hyped. I'm hyped. I mean,
And first season went really well. We had over 10 people in the points. We had, I think, more than 10, I think.
yeah,
And
and
we were all gunning for the championship, and that's what, that's what we're all focused this season, is the championship again. Exterior guy did win last year, and he has a big target on his back now because he did win. But
oh
he is
yeah,
very consistent. Exterior is a consistent man, but so is Kiz, so is uh, Ash, and so is these other drivers as well. So it's going to be a battle for that championship. It's going to be a battle for points, and that's what I'm going to enjoy the most, the
it is.
battle,
And
the road
Kiz,
to.
and I hate to say it, I mean, he is part of the team, but Kiz is going to be one to look out for if he can show up for every event, guys. He's fast and he's very accurate with his clipping points. But on that note, we do have different scoring this season and different judges. So let's see if he can wow the judges this coming season.
Definitely, man. It's going to be more competitive this season for sure, which I'm enjoying a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's
more
gonna
tandems.
Yeah, exactly.
And if a
It's gonna
pass
be
happens, it
sick.
happens, but you have to be offline. So there is no random team burst overtake in this season, but I mean, I don't mind that.
Right, and also, I mean, I know it's not a lot, but for just starting out, I mean, I'm looking right now. I know at the end of the season we didn't have quite 400 followers. We were close for about 390 on Twitch, and I'm looking now, we have over 400. So, I mean, after just one season, to have a short, like not a small fraction, but a pretty good chunk of what ESDA has in our very first season, that's pretty good. Because I think ESDA has here, I'll look right now actually. I'm not dogging on ESDA anyway, by all means, because I compete in ESDA. I love the way they run things. I love how similar to FD it is. And John, you're competing in ESDA as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So looking for the car that I can
Right,
use.
because I mean, we won't talk about too
It's
much
a one
because
car.
this is FHDL, but they are switching to where the one car you register with, that's what you have to compete with the whole season. And instead of going 32 field down to a top 16 field, just like FD, they're going from a 24 field. So I'm curious how that's going to work. But right now, ESDA has 1,749 followers. So to have a quarter of what they have in our very first season, I mean, I'm pretty impressed.
Definitely.
So on that note, we're gonna start to close this out. Like I said, the rulebook add-on is the traffic restart rule. We forgot to put that in the rulebook when we read it off the other night. So like I said, if you hit a traffic car in the main drift line, you will get a traffic restart. If you hit it outside the drift line, depending on the severity, you will be deemed either a 0 or an incomplete run. So that's the only update. Plus, I want to thank Strictly Sideways. I do apologize for not including you guys in the last video. It was just this banner was kind of thrown within like 10 minutes before the video, so
like seconds.
I completely forgot. And when I'm reading off the sponsors, I literally just read them off of the banner. So I do greatly apologize for that, guys, and glad that you're on board. Glad we could sponsor you guys this season, and we can't wait to see you guys come out and compete. Hopefully we can get you guys in a team interview.
Definitely.
We plan to do all the big name teams in comp this year, get them interviews, or at least with their leaders, before the season starts. So I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank John for coming by and talking with me on this news report.
No problem.
All right, man.
Anytime.
You have a good night, man. And those of you that are watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Those of you that I saw a couple of you joined in on Twitch, but thanks guys for stopping by. Just real quick, Forza Horizon Drift League is presented by I almost said YDVD, man. I'm so used to saying it.
It's Trifecta now, man. It's Trifecta.
Yeah, Forza Horizon Drift League is presented by Trifecta Drift Team, Forza's new up-and-coming drift team. FHDL is presented by Plantronics Gaming. And we are also sponsored by 110 Customs, HKS Performance, bringing style of drifting since 2002. And 110 Customs, I totally botched that. Major rip on me.
Rip.
110 Customs,
RIP
we
in
don't
peace.
just give you 100% effort, we give you 110. HKS Performance, bringing
110.
style of drifting since 2002. Also sponsored by
2002.
Team 5 Zygon. Forza Daily Skids on Instagram and Strictly Sideways. We want to thank you guys again for joining on, and thanks for watching. And as always, keep it slideways.